You've said in your work that liberalism is actually dead. What do you mean?
It's an interesting political ideology where basically it's got two major commitments. On the one hand, it has a commitments to things like human rights, the rule of law, individual freedoms, even things like a little bit of welfare and, let's say, ecological protection and things like that.
Sounds great.
Sounds great. At the same time, liberalism is committed to capitalism. And this is essential to liberal ideology, is that ultimately they are committed to the processes of ensuring that production is controlled by capital and maintaining the conditions for capital accumulation. The problem here is that when these things come into conflicts, then liberal leaders will resolve the contradictions in favor of capital accumulation. And this is what explains the fact that liberals have this reputation of being hypocrites. They're full of spectacular contradictions. You get people who are committed to things like liberal rights and etc., then openly backing a genocide. Like, what is anyone supposed to make of that? I mean, this is a very severe contradiction. And then what happens is that, crucially, liberals are anti-socialist. And so they'll do everything possible to crush actual progressive socialist movements.
Why is that? Why are liberals anti-socialist?
Because of their ultimate, most important commitment, which is to capital accumulation. They will never let that be threatened. And that's why we saw, like, when somebody as beloved as Bernie Sanders was a few years ago in the primaries, they had to band together and crush him. Now, this is interesting because when you're crushing socialist movements and you're ultimately also yourself crumbling and failing, then what does that do? It leaves the political vacuum open to who? The far right, right? And so liberalism gives way to fascism over and over and over. It's like clockwork. Fascists, their core principle also is capital accumulation, right? But they just dispense with the liberal values. And so liberals are actually more comfortable handing power over to the far right because they're confident that at least capital is going to be protected than they are handing power to socialists who will maintain their liberal values of rule of law and rights and things like that, but will not protect capital accumulation. And this is why we see this constant back and forth between the far right liberals, the far right liberals. The fascists take control, they create total social chaos. Everyone's like, this is far too extreme for us. Let's go for that safe center option again. They vote for the liberals come back into power. Rinse and repeat over and over.